And congratulations to you on your amazing titles.
Thank you.
And I know you've done a lot with modeling and dancing and competing as well. And you also conduct 2 highly noted workshops, one of which is called Pageant 101.
Yes.
What every parent needs to know about pageants.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Can you tell us, what do you cover in that workshop? And what do parents really need to know about pageantry?
Well, you know, a lot of times, you know, people get into pageants and then they drop out because they realize that it is expensive, or they think that it's fixed or it's rigged, or they just don't understand it. And sometimes they don't understand why their daughters or their sons or nieces and nephews, what have you, would want to compete in any type of pageant or modeling competition. So in this workshop, the first thing that I do is I explain what the categories are. You know, exactly what is talent, what is high fashion, what is sportswear, what is pro-am, what is interview, what is platform. You know, at the basic level, these are the categories in the pageant. The next thing that I talk about, which is very important, and I think that every parent should know this, they need to understand the differences between systems. A lot of times they'll go into a pageant, and I'll give you a prime example. You'll have a young lady who is big in her church and doing community service, and she sings in the choir, you know, and she is really more just about the realism of who she is and a little bit more natural. I'm not going to send her to Universal Miss, which is a pro-am pageant. I'm not going to send her to Sunburst. You know, if she's a teenager, I may not send her to USA, because that's a little bit more of a model glitz kind of. I always say USA is the Victoria's Secrets of pageants. Not a bad thing. I love it, you know, but that's just the style of pageant that it is. You know, Miss America, Cinderella pageants, National American Miss, you know, those are the pageants that are a little bit more natural. You know, it's a little bit more about community service, about your platform and who you are as a person, not just as a potential celebrity or performer or that kind of thing. So I think it's very important that you pick the right pageant. If you're looking for college scholarship or for school scholarship, that's one set of pageants. You know, if you're looking for getting into the modeling and entertainment industry, that's another style of pageants. If you're doing it just for personal development and for your daughter to get more self-confidence, that's a different kind of pageant. So I educate these parents on what pageant is right for your daughter and to go about doing it. The third thing, and if I'm rambling, you could just shut me up.
Oh, gosh, no, that's great information.
The third thing, which I think is very important, is that I talk to these parents on how to deal with directors. A lot of times parents don't know that you are a representation of your kid. And in many cases, if the parent is hard to deal with, the director is not going to want to deal with your kid because they got to deal with you.
Right.
So, you know, don't call that director at midnight if you don't have a personal relationship with them. Don't go to the director or to a judge and go, why didn't my kid win 10 minutes after crowning? You don't do that. You know, read the application thoroughly so you're not asking the director about entry fees when it's right there in front of you if you would have read the book, you know, the entry book. You know, and so it's very important that you establish a positive but yet professional relationship with a director, because at the end of the day, we know in pageants people talk.
Right, they do. Yes, they do.
And in this day of the ballot, and for people who don't know what the ballot is, most pageants these days, once you get to the top 5, regardless of how you get there, they are no longer awarding points. They're ranking you in the order that they want you to place. And if they feel that you are not manageable, you're not marketable, you're not approachable, or even if there's a parent issue, you can get balloted down. And so even though you may be the best person in the pageant, you'll get first or second runner-up and will not win, not because you're not good, but because of everything else around you is not positive, especially in this day of the ballot. So remember that. Your politics matters.
Love it.
It really does. And I talk about the politics in there. And then the final thing, and I'll tie up this parent thing, is I talk about budget.
Yes.
I talk about what it costs to be successful, because you have one of two things. You have parents not making the right investment, so they're wasting money, or you have parents who are successful that feeling that throwing money at something that they would, you know, that their daughter should win because they threw money at it. It's not about that. I don't care if the gown is $5,000. I don't care if the gown is $50. Is it the right gown for your daughter? I've had girls win in gowns from the Salvation Army. You know, when it's a single mother, not a lot of money. you know, you do what you need to do with what you can afford and you make it work. And I talk about that too. I would venture to say my Pageant 101, my parent workshop is the best workshop that I do because it sets people up for success.
It sounds like it does. And you know what? My goodness, you know, not even for people just getting started in pageants, but I think everybody can benefit from that. You know, how many times do we see competitors and systems that aren't right for them, or, you know, gowns spending thousands and thousands and it's not the right gown? So I think everyone can benefit from the great advice you give